Obviously, none of this would be possible in any way without our open source suite of tools. And that wouldn't be possible, obviously, without Tim sitting down to build his first application and realizing that this sucks and it's really hard. And obviously, that was the impetus of debatable. I think it was something like 10 scripts, but whatever. There's a little debate going on about how many scripts Tim actually wrote to start Truffle. But that was the humble beginnings of our open source community that now has over 7 million downloads, so many users, and has really made blockchain development easier, and we've lowered the barrier to entry. So to talk more about those open source tools and the updates that we've made and the plans that we have to come, a good friend of mine, Nick, or as he goes by anyone who knows him personally, Ganedin. Welcome, my friend.
Wes, how do I get to be so important that you interview me? I've made slides for this.
Yeah, well, then I'm out.
Thanks, Wes.
That's a good one.
Well, it's good to see you all here today. Well, I don't really see everyone. I'm here today to talk about Truffle's open source initiatives. There's a lot of really exciting stuff going on. I'm going to share it with you. I'll start, though, by talking about some community statistics. I have a different number for total downloads, but we've got 7.25 million downloads of the entire suite of tools as of yesterday, though I might be excluding something. That number has been kind of not great because robots download Truffle too. So we've put together a list of our estimated monthly users, and by my count, it seems like we have around 11.6 thousand monthly Truffle users and 41,000 Ganache users, and that's CLI and core and UI put together. So that's really exciting. To think that there's 40,000 people using our software every month is really exciting to me. And people seem to be happy. The GitHub stars keep going up. There's 14.6 thousand GitHub stars across the board. And our website gets a lot of action, right? 22,000 website visitors. So it makes me feel honored to kind of be a part of this community. And I hope you feel it too. So if not, maybe I can convince you in the coming slides. Well, let's see what's happened since the last TruffleCon. Well, in Ganache, if you're not familiar with the Ganache forking feature, it lets you connect to an existing network and then play transactions on top of that network. So you get all of the contract state and all of the transaction and all of the accounts up until the point where you forked, and then you can do whatever you want. You can unlock accounts, you can interact with these other contracts, and it doesn't modify mainnet, for instance. Naturally, it modifies your local Ganache. But what's happened recently with forking, and I have to call out Brian Stitt in the community because he's really championed a number of limitations with this feature. And thanks to his actions, we've gotten a number of very high impact bugs fixed and released. And now forking is I use it every time there's a scammy DeFi project that launches. I want to make sense of what's going on, and forking has been great. It's incredible. We added it to Ganache UI, so if you don't like the command line interface, well, you can get it there also. We've also improved some of the controls. So like I was mentioning, you can unlock accounts after Ganache starts, right? So if you discover, oh wait, I need to unlock the ENS registrar for some reason, well, you can do that after the fact. You can specify chain ID now because that's been in the IP. You can control which hard fork you want to use. We support Mirror Glacier now, which is the latest, but you can try an earlier one, or if you're on ETC or some other chain that isn't up to date with mainnet Ethereum. Well, ETC is, but you can do that. So on the Truffle front, and I'm going to have to go through these fast, people. There's a lot going on. I apologize. Firstly, we have stack traces in JavaScript and Solidity. What does that look like? Well, and if you run truffle test -- stack trace, I hope everyone's ready to see a whole bunch of screenshots of the console. Anyway, you can see, well, here's where your Solidity went wrong. And then if you look down at the second to last line, you'll see where your JavaScript went wrong. And so it really helps you reason about, what went wrong in your project and how do you fix it? How do you reason about it? And this feature should be, pretty widely useful, I'd say. We also have ENS support, which is handy because ENS is awesome. Like you can, if you own a name, an ENS name, you can deploy your contract and then set the ENS name for your contract. And then you can use ENS names when interacting with that contract. So I hate having to use addresses, right? So this is really nice. We've also added syntax highlighting in the debugger because the worst thing about a CLI that's all white is it's impossible to read. So that's not a problem anymore. You can also debug verified contracts on Etherscan and Sourceify. And what that means, I took this screenshot from a blank Truffle project where the only thing I had to do was configure the network. And I just did truffle debug -- fetch external, and I gave it a transaction hash. And this is on Gurley. And there you go. I didn't have to download that source. That's ENS or the DNSSEC project. I didn't have to download that. I don't even know what it is, really. Well, a little bit. But yeah, I'm stepping through the transaction and get all the information I need. This is one that I feel like it deserves a lot more press. We've released a decoding library that is leagues beyond anything that's out today. I mean, the decoding libraries to date have been very good because they're very high level. But with what we're doing in Truffle, we need to see machine readable descriptions of values and types. And what does that mean? It's like you have an event and you get a string back that starts with 0x. How do you know if it's a string or if it's an address? Well, our decoder will get you that information. And our decoder will get you that information from an event. It'll get it from state variables. You can decode a transaction. Let's say you have a signed transaction. You can see what it does. And it'll pull in your Truffle source code. So you look at this screenshot example, right? That's a struct. It's an event with a struct argument with a function pointer. So yeah, this is pretty cool. That's what I've been saying. So, all right, I'm going to have to go fast. I had to cut some things. I'm definitely going over time on this one. Thanks, Pooja, for covering Truffle Preserve so I don't have to. What we're doing in Ganache is we're refactoring it into TypeScript, which means that we're cleaning up all the technical debt. We're getting types for everything. It'll make it easier to support additional blockchains in the future. Custom simulation workflows. We're going to have API documentation. You're going to be able to play with the API on our doc site. It's really exciting. And then we're continuing to move forward. People are really using Ganache to pretend it's actually a live network. And so Ganache should do that, right? Ganache has auto mining, but when you send a transaction to a real network, it takes a while. And maybe it's sometimes replaced, right? Like gas price was too high, your transaction's sitting there, you have to send a new transaction. So Ganache will be able to do that kind of behavior. It's great when you're testing, you want a fast instant mining behavior, but when you're about to go live, you really want it to act like a real network. So we're excited to bring you that. On the Truffle front, well, this is a widely requested feature. How do you get multiple versions of Solidity in the same project at the same time? Well, we have it implemented. We're releasing it very soon. Truffle's going to read the pragma statements at the top of each file, and it's going to compile them all at once. And so that means you're not going to have to, if your project has a number of dependencies and they have slightly different Solidity versions, well, that'll reduce a lot of the complexity there. We're also, this is big, right? Truffle has had a number of long-standing limitations. One, you can't have more than one contract with the same name, which is like kind of kind of strange. Why is there this limitation? And then there's this other situation with Truffle where you get these JSON artifacts that are enormous. And what do you do with them? You put them in source control? You put them online somewhere? Well, we're moving away from that. And we've built this system that we call TruffleDB that takes all of the data that Truffle needs and puts it in a database and exposes it through GraphQL. So that Truffle, when Truffle needs whatever it needs, it can get that. Or when you need the ABI, you can get just the ABI. And it's going to be a game changer, right? Like all of these like things that we couldn't fix in Truffle because of these limitations I mentioned, it's suddenly possible. And that's really exciting. Anyway, like I was saying, there's a lot going on. I'm really excited. I'm excited about all of this stuff. I'm excited about the synergies behind it all. Like all of these features that might be inconvenient because you need an archive node or you don't want to have to configure the command line. Like these features will feed into Teams, which will make this easy to use experience. I'm really excited about the future of Truffle. I'll end on one more note, which is that I am so grateful for our external contributors. Here are all of the people that have opened pull requests to our open source tools since TruffleCon last year. This tag cloud is woefully incomplete because I couldn't figure out a way to get GitHub to tell me all of the people that contributed to issues, not just pull requests, but I thank all of you as well. And thanks everyone here for joining us at the event today. Looking forward to talking to you more.
Thank you, Nick. That was amazing. Thanks for showing off all of, really all the progress that's happened in our open source suite. I know that Wes gave me the credit for building Truffle and all of that earlier, and the credit should really go to you and the rest of our engineering team because we've come miles and miles since the very first implementation of Truffle. So that was so awesome, and it's awesome to see where this is going. So thank you, Nick.
Well, thank you, Tim.